Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar organized by Doxity in partnership with Swiss Education Group and HIM Business School. My name is Carolina, nice to meet you all, and I'll be your host for today's event on behalf of Doxity. I see here that the first people are already starting to join in. We are going to wait just a few minutes before starting to allow everyone to connect. In the meantime, feel free to say hi on our chat here on Zoom, and please tell us where you're from since we're very curious. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank everyone for joining us today and thank our panelists for being here with us today. As you can see here, I'm not alone. I want to introduce you all to Gaia Cantamessa, Regional Manager at Swiss Education Group, and Ben Smith, Lecturer at HIM Business School. Welcome, it's a pleasure to have you here. Together with them, we are going to discover why emotions are the heart of every customer experience and how to harness them to create memorable interactions. We're also going to learn the core emotions and how they influence customer behaviors. And also, we're going to see how leading brands have transformed emotional drivers into long-term loyalty and market success. And also, Ben will lead us to uncover the 6 emotional drivers that shape customer behavior. So we'll be pretty busy and it will be an interesting webinar to assist. You also have the possibility to interact with our speakers and ask them questions. And talking about that, I'd like to remind you that after the presentation, we will have a Q&A session where you'll be able to ask our questions to the panelists. So don't be shy and just type all of your questions in the Q&A section here on Zoom, and we'll go through them at the end of the webinar. Also, last but not least, for those of you interested in receiving a certificate of attendance by Doxity, stay tuned because we will post a link to get the certificate at the end of the session. Okay. I see some other people connecting, so welcome to all of you. And again, thank you for joining us. Thank to our panelists. Today, we are going to talk about customer experience and emotional drivers. Let's say, I would say that without further ado, I'm now leaving the floor to our panelists for their presentation. So enjoy this beautiful webinar and see you later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carolina. So let me see if I can share my screen with you all. There we are. And thank you so much for joining today. Today's webinar will be covering customer experience excellence and specifically how we can use emotions to earn loyalty and advocacy with clients, regardless of industry sectors. Just a very small part about myself. I am a senior lecturer at HIM Business School, which is in Switzerland. And I specialize here in customer experience management and digital marketing. That's my focus. As I work my way through this topic, please do reach out with any questions that you may have within the chat. I'll be very happy to answer. If not, stick around for the Q&A session at the end. So during this session, although I only have 45 minutes possibly to cover with you, I'll try and unpack as much of this theory and its key concepts, including some real-world examples from the industry as possible. So first, we'll start by exploring a professional customer experience framework. There is an organization in the UK that has done a fair bit of research into customer experience theory. And we'll start by taking a look at that framework. This framework includes 6 emotional drivers, 6 ways that businesses, can be small businesses, large businesses, from any number of industries, they can all harness the power of using emotions to connect with customers with the goal of building loyalty and advocacy. And we'll look at some real cases from companies across various industries that are currently using emotional drivers successfully to earn loyal customers. So let's dig into it. We can't really talk about customer experience without covering or differentiating from customer service. Let me just see if, yes, it's just the welcome messages. So this is the first thing we have to unpack, and it's the first thing I discuss with my students here at HIM Business School. And the key really is to show the importance of customer service and make it clear that one cannot exist without the other. However, when you think about customer service, and you may think of experiences that you've had, either positive or negative in terms of customer experience, it's rare that we remember the experiences. The goal of customer service is often to find stock of products or to solve minor problems. And the goal really is to meet the expectations of customers. And as I said, this is rarely something, unless you have an amazing, incredible experience, it's rarely something that we remember. And this is where customer experience comes in. The idea behind customer experience is that it goes beyond. We are surpassing the expectations of our customers. So if we were to define it in more depth, I would say that customer service is functional. It fulfills a purpose. It's necessary. It needs to be there, but it's rarely something that we remember and take away with us. This customer service function comes from what we expect about a company. We expect every company that we interact with as a customer to have a certain standard of customer service. And this is a function. It's a job that they have. Whereas customer experience, as I teach my students here, is emotional. It's the power of connecting with customers and there are various different forms that we'll look at. We'll look at 6 main emotional drivers that you can use with your customers to help build loyalty. So customer experience we consider as making an emotional connection with your guests. And after any interaction that a company has with a customer, how the customer feels following that interaction will define whether it was a positive or negative customer experience. And where customer service is about meeting expectations, customer experience is really what we remember. It's what helps us to decide how we feel about a specific company, whether we perceive it as a positive example of a company that we would like to use again, and whether we will remain loyal to this company, and even whether we would refer this company to friends or family. So just to share with you a quick story from a colleague of mine at HIM Business School. He shared with me 2 customer experiences he had during his life. And one of them being a negative experience. I won't mention the name of the company, and a positive experience where I will mention the name of the company. So for this colleague of mine, he would regularly go on holiday with his family to Spain, and he is a big fan of golf, and they would go to a golf resort. However, a year ago, the management changed in the hotel. So everything that the hotel had learnt about my colleague had been lost. So the hotel would need to rebuild the relationship if they wanted to keep his loyalty. My colleague returned to the hotel. It was a 5-star golf resort, paid quite a fair bit to stay there, and arrived at the reception, and the staff, it was very hot summer vacation, and he asked for more water for the room. And the staff replied to my colleague, "I'm sorry, sir, but that is part of the welcome package. If you would like more water for your room, you will need to purchase it." My colleague, although disappointed, decided, because he'd built up loyalty with this hotel, let's not ruin our vacation. Then later in the day, playing golf, and went to the reception and asked for more golf balls. The reception replied with the same response: "I'm sorry, sir, that was part of your welcome package." At this point, my colleague is getting a little bit angry at the situation, but decides to give them one more chance because they've been going to this hotel for many years. Next, my colleague goes to dinner with his family, and they would like to be on the terrace restaurant. Of course, a hot summer day, what better? Unfortunately, they hadn't made a reservation, and half of the terrace area was closed and not open for another hour. And my colleague asked if they could use the terrace area as there was no one there, to which they replied, "I'm sorry, if you don't have a reservation, it won't be possible this evening." It was this point that my colleague went to the general manager and said, "Unfortunately, I don't feel like you care about our stay. And I've been a loyal customer for many years. What can you do to improve my experience here?" And the new general manager at the hotel replied, "I'm sorry about that. We are happy to give you a discount." And this is a clear example of not appealing to the emotions of your customer. We'll look at some examples shortly about how some companies really make an effort to take steps to fix problems. And comping meals, or giving meals at a lower cost, or giving a free bottle of wine, does not solve the problem. Okay? So this just shows that the hotel sees my colleague as just another number, another guest in the hotel. If this guest is not pleased with their stay, we'll offer them a discount. And if they don't come back, we'll find a new customer, a new guest to stay in the hotel regardless. So my colleague responded to the hotel manager by saying, "Thank you very much for the discount. We will take it, and we are never coming back to this hotel again." And that just shows you how, as a business, if you do not connect on an emotional level and personalize the experience for your customers and treat them as individuals, you will lose them. You will lose their loyalty. So in this case, there was many opportunities to solve and fix the issues for the customer. But if you don't make the effort to do so, then you're going to lose loyal customers. Let's turn to a positive example from the same colleague of mine. When he was at university, he was given a beautiful Cartier pen by his parents, and he was using this pen regularly, and unfortunately, the ink ran out one day. I don't know if you can see this. It was one of these type of pens, the fountain pen, and it needs refilling. So, studying in Paris, he chose to travel to the Cartier flagship store, the main Cartier store in Paris. And once there, as a student on a budget, he was unsure how much it would cost to refill the ink. But he went in, and the staff said to him, "What can we do for you?" And he replied, "I'm not sure how much it will cost, but we need, if possible, more ink for my pen." The staff said, "Sir, please take a seat." They took the pen, and a few minutes later, they brought back a glass of champagne. My colleague was a little bit confused, but obviously happy to receive free champagne as a student. And it was only after 5-10 minutes that they returned, and his pen, despite 2 years of use, looked brand new. They had refilled the ink, they had polished the pen, they had cleaned it, and it looked new. And my colleague was confused at this as he was thinking, surely this is going to cost me a lot of money. They asked him to pay €6. And when you think about this situation and you add up the costs, the labor costs of cleaning the pen, filling with ink, and the champagne that was offered to him, it's got to be more than €6, right? So you have to ask yourself the question, why would Cartier spend more money on its customer than it would receive in payments for the pen? Feel free to write quickly in the chat if you think you have an idea why a company would invest in its customers. I'll give you just 30 seconds. You don't have to respond, but if you think you have an idea, just give me one word. Sylvia, very quick answer and one that I completely agree with. It's about building loyalty. Cartier is essentially investing in the loyalty of its customers. This colleague of mine that had this experience, he now has a wife. He is no longer a student. He is living here in Switzerland and has a full-time job. And on the anniversary of his wife, he will buy her Cartier jewelry. So each anniversary, he chooses to buy jewelry from Cartier. Not only that, he travels from Switzerland to Paris to go to the same store where he had that experience. Now, that might not happen in every case that you have that level of loyalty, but it goes to show if you can have this effect on one customer, you can have this effect on many. So building loyalty, fidelity, absolutely, to create strong connections with customers. Because the pen is expensive, it's true, the pen itself was an initial cost. It's a good point, Meg. Thank you for sharing. But all in all, I believe that if a customer was to come in, even having not bought a product, Cartier, in this case, it seems, would treat each customer in the same way. Before coming into the shop, they didn't know if my colleague would spend €6 or €6,000. And yet they chose to treat him in that way, with the goal of investing in order to build loyalty. So not only did they build loyalty, now friends and family also have been recommended products of Cartier as well. So just some examples for you. So over the next 25-30 minutes, I'm going to dive deeper into 6 key emotional drivers that companies can use to connect with customers in order to build loyalty. This framework here was established by the CX Academy, which is based in the UK, who have done research on customer experience theory. This framework, however, can be used as a tool by businesses of any size, regardless of whether you have 3 or 4 employees. and you're still writing customer information in a notebook, or if you have thousands of employees and thousands of customers. So this really is scalable. It can be small size or large size because it's based on emotional concepts. And as long as your customer is a human, emotions are involved. So this is used by companies now to plan how they will incorporate the customer experience, a positive customer experience. It's also used to review what customer service or customer experience practices are already in place. And it can also be used to measure how successful the customer experience is. So we'll be looking at, and to keep the theory simple, they've been given quite easy to remember names. So I trust you, you know me, you make it easy, you get me, you deliver on your promise, and you fix things. We'll look at some specific examples from different businesses in different industries to show that really size of the company is no object, and nor is the industry. Customers, guests, it can apply to all. Now, just a key point here is that as a company, to succeed with customer experience excellence, you don't need to succeed or utilize all of these emotional drivers successfully. Most companies that successfully incorporate customer experience actually have focused on one, maybe two of these emotional drivers and just do it very well. Okay, so we'll look at some examples as we move through. Let me see if I just missed a question. Maybe one for Carolina to answer. So let's start with trust. I start with this emotional driver because it is the first in the framework, but it's also the most important. As a company, if you don't have the trust of your customers, you don't have anything, essentially. I've included an example on the right. I won't talk too specifically about this company, but you may have been aware of this company and how, unfortunately, they lost trust of their customers. And it was based around not being completely honest and authentic with them. However, this company is now working on rebuilding their image and taking steps to build trust. However, this is a very large company. If you are to lose the trust of your customers and you are just a small business, this can be the end of it. Okay, so trust is the foundation of the relationship between company and customer. And quite simply, customers will not do business with companies they don't trust. So I'll define these emotions first, and then I'll give you some key attributes. What can companies do in order to fulfill this driver? And then I'll show you a positive example of real companies that are using these drivers already. So for the I trust you driver, this is essentially showing that the company is authentic and honest, and they are not just selling products to make money or selling a service to make money. It's about having integrity. Trust in companies globally is declining around the world. Why do you think customers globally in 2025 are trusting companies less? Maybe you can write in the chat just one word, 2 words. Why do you think trusting companies is declining? I'll let you keep writing as I give you just some insight. One is technology. As technology improves, especially with the introduction of more AI-based products and services, our expectations have risen. And as expectation is rising, companies promise more. And as companies overpromise, they in turn under-deliver. And if you overpromise and under-deliver, this creates a gap in expectations, what we call in marketing or customer experience, the expectations gap. So it's very important that when companies make their customer promises, that they are realistic, in line with the raising expectations of customers, as well as the evolution of technology. If anything, as we'll see later in one of the other emotional drivers, it is better to under-promise and over-deliver. That way you are surprising your customers as you are going beyond expectations. So ultimately, we need to show customers that the company is acting in their best interests, not ours. Okay. I have included a positive example of this in the form of Patagonia. Now, Patagonia, you may or may not know, is a winter clothing brand. I have bought Patagonia clothing myself. In Switzerland, we do a lot of hiking. But for me, and for those customers who want to buy clothing that is more sustainable and lasts longer, I chose Patagonia. This is not a promotion for Patagonia, but what I saw with Patagonia is that their promise matches their product. They weren't over-promising, and this has been something that's been part of their values for a long time. And because Patagonia has kept this promise, they've been able to build a loyal customer base. Some of the initiatives they have are that they are transparent with their customers. Patagonia want to make it clear that if you care about sustainability, you're in the right place, because Patagonia also cares about sustainability. They are very anti-fast fashion, and they've shown this by creating several programs or initiatives. One of these is the Worn Wear program, and the purpose of this program is to essentially make their products more durable and to encourage customers to wear the products for a longer time before purchasing or upgrading to other products. You may have seen this quite famous now advertising campaign from Patagonia in the bottom right, "Don't buy this jacket." It's a very bold move of a clothing brand to suggest that you don't buy their clothing. But this was an incredibly popular campaign, and it wasn't actually the full sentence. The full sentence was, "Don't buy this jacket if you don't need it." And the whole idea there is that you only buy Patagonia products when you actually need them. So this really resonated or connected with customers that care that their products are sustainable and not contributing to fast fashion. So along with this, you have the commitment to customers' interests, because the products are made with higher quality materials that are more durable. They will last longer. So that does make the products more expensive, but for those customers that care about sustainable products, they will be happy to pay that price and continue to buy products from Patagonia over the years. Patagonia also will take products that you've worn, repair them if they're broken, recycle them if you no longer want them, and also resell. So this is part of their Worn Wear program. Patagonia, just one good example of how companies can connect with the I trust you emotional driver. Moving on to the second emotional driver, you know me. You know me is all about personalization. If you think back to the example of my colleague at the golf resort, that was essentially the opposite of utilizing the you know me emotional driver. As customers, we crave or we want to be treated as individuals. If we feel like we are just another number, we will go pass by the competition. So it's important that as a company, we show our customers that they are not another number. We learn about them and we use that data and information to personalize their experience. Just to show you that this can apply to very small businesses as well as larger ones, I take the example of my barber, my hairdresser in Switzerland. I'm originally from the UK, but I've lived in Switzerland for 10 years. And as you may know, either from living in a different country or even going on holiday in a different country for a longer period or studying in a different country, finding a hairdresser that you trust who knows you and knows how you like your hair to be cut is difficult. And at the beginning, you might find yourself showing a picture of how you want your hair to look. But this is a very difficult stage. So when you find a hairdresser that you can trust, who knows you, that's a very important emotion to connect on. So in the picture here, you can see my hairdresser, Hassan. And he's been my hairdresser for the last 9 years. Unfortunately, the first year I didn't find him, but for the last 9 years, I am a loyal customer. Why? Well, Hassan is not the cheapest, and also he's not the closest hairdresser to me. He actually moved 15 minutes further away than before, and I now move to go to him. Why? Because when I walk into his hairdresser salon, he calls me by my name. He knows exactly how I like my hair to be cut from memory. And I'm sure that you have hairdressers or maybe a nail salon or a beauty salon that you go to, those of you joining today, where it might be more expensive than other hairdressers or nail salons. It might be further away, but you are willing to make that commitment because you are treated as an individual and your experience is personalized. There's another example here of, there are many restaurants in Montreux, but I choose to go to one that is less expensive than others, and it's nothing fancy. Why do I go there? For the same reasons that I go to my hairdresser here. They treat me as an individual. They greet me by name. They make me feel like I'm the only customer they have. And that is not something that costs money to achieve. You don't need to spend large amounts on traditional marketing. You just need to treat your customers better. And in this case, it's about getting to know your customers, understanding what they need, and when their needs change, make an effort to adapt to those needs. So when my colleague went to that golf hotel, the general manager had an opportunity, even though he was new, to learn about the previous customers and adapt to those experiences. He chose not to and lost a loyal customer as a result. So we need to make every individual customer feel important. And this is what helps to create this emotional bond. And you can see how strong these emotional bonds become because I'm willing to pay more money. I'm willing to travel further in order to use these services. It's about personalization and being treated as an individual. So some things that you could do in order to fulfill this emotional driver as a business: recognize your customers, greet them in the way that they would like to be greeted. If it's using their name, fantastic. In some luxury businesses, customers might prefer you not to do that, but knowing how they want to be greeted is key. Remember your customers and acknowledge that you have past history doing business with them before. So you can comment on the last time that they were there, previous purchases that they made, and whether they are still interested in that or if they have new interests. Please do write in the chat if you have any questions so far. But you can see that these concepts are not actually that complex. And so you do have to ask, why don't more companies invest in customer experience? Why do companies spend so much money on professional videos and photos, large costs to the advertising budget, when if they focus more on connecting with emotions, they will build loyal customers? And I think one of the main issues, before I go on to the next example, is that companies often focus too much on acquiring new customers and not enough focus on the customers they already have. Treat your current customers better and they will remain loyal. And you won't have to go out and persuade new customers to join you. I often say to my students, what do you think is more profitable for a business? 50 new customers or 50 existing customers? And they'll often respond, well, it's the same number of customers, I'm making the same amount of profit. But are you? The new customers, you haven't earned their loyalty yet. You have to earn it. And for the existing customers, if you keep them happy, they will keep buying from you. They will buy more often. And if they really have a positive customer experience, you will achieve the ultimate goal, which is advocacy. They will recommend your company to friends and family. Did you ask them to? Did you pay them to tell their friends and family? No. That is free marketing. They essentially, loyal customers who have received these positive customer experiences, become a valuable part of your sales and marketing team because they are recommending to others. Netflix, another great example of the you know me driver. And this is also a great example of how a company can balance technology and the human experience. Netflix collects a very large amount of data from its customers and then uses the data to personalize the experience for customers. Maybe later today, after this webinar, if you are watching from Europe, go onto your Netflix profile and then you can compare this profile to that of a family member or even a friend. You will see that your homepage is not the same. That is because you have different interests and different tastes. So your homepage is personalized based on your data, what you like to watch. And therefore, this data is creating value for Netflix. And what this means is that the result of collecting data and personalizing the customer experience is that customers are happy because they watch content that they like. That's what appears on their homepage. And Netflix is able to increase or grow its customer base. Moving on to the third driver, you make it easy. Quite a simple one, this one. It's about not wasting customers' time and showing that their time is valuable to you, either by making the process easier or more effortless. So we need to value customers' time. We need to reduce effort for customers. It is the company that should be making the effort or more effort, and it shouldn't be the customer that has to make the effort. For example, if you call a company and no one answers, you send them an email and no one answers, this is not making it easier for your customers. So what is? Key attributes for making it easy for your customers: showing customers you understand that their time counts, and making the process of interacting with your company as simple as possible. Two examples for you that I've come across from case studies and my own experiences. Amazon is a well-known case study for making the process of purchasing easier for its customers. How so? Because Amazon has chosen to put the customer at the heart or at the front of everything they do, which is pretty impressive because Amazon doesn't have a physical store. It's an online marketplace, and yet their customer service and customer experience is one of the best globally that exists. One of the ways they made it easier for their customers was the inclusion of the buy now with one click option. Now, of course, other businesses have started to make their purchasing process easier, but Amazon really set the standard. It meant that they saved your address and your card details and made the process as easy as possible. You click buy now with one click, and they've already got your address, your card details, and the purchase is made. The simpler you can make the customer journey, the more customers will use your service and become loyal to you. Zalando, another example. You may or may not know Zalando. It's a clothing company. I believe they have services in, as well as Switzerland, they operate in, I believe, Spain, possibly Portugal, not sure, Germany, Sweden. And for those of you that know it, they have a quick delivery service, but also they allow free returns. So they are essentially making the delivery service easier, but also the returns service easier. And by focusing on different areas of the customer journey and making them easier for the customer, again, this will foster loyalty. Starbucks, another example. Don't need to go into too much detail about it, but this is all to do with their app and how Starbucks uses AI to improve the customer experience. So particularly in the app, Starbucks uses AI to make suggestions. For example, if you wake up and it's raining outside and you open the Starbucks app, it will suggest you warm beverages, hot chocolate, pumpkin spice latte, I don't know, if it's cold outside. If it's hot outside, it will suggest you iced beverages. AI also benefits the staff in Starbucks because they are able to know when they require more staff to come in or staff can be told to go home. They also use AI to know if the store temperature is at a good level, and also with maintenance to know when machines need to be changed or updated. They also, in the Starbucks app, allow you to use voice command, messaging, all of these things, ordering in advance and paying in advance and then skipping the queue make the process easier. On to the fourth one now, you get me. For this one here, it's all about empathy, understanding your customers, listening to them, and then acting as fast as possible and as effectively as possible. So this really is about the role of your staff. The staff at your company should show empathy to customers, and when there's a problem, they shouldn't pass it to another department. They should take ownership of the problem then and there. If I, for example, work in the finance department and I've received the customer service hotline has received a request at my company, if I'm able to solve the problem myself effectively for that customer, I will do it there instead of passing them on to another representative in another department who will pass them on to another representative in another department. Okay, so listening to your customers' problems, showing empathy, you might not be able to fix the problem. But if you show that you care, that is what the customers are most looking for. So we need to walk in the customer's shoes. We need to be aware of customers have different emotions at different times, and we need to respond with the correct emotional response depending on the situation. And we need to go the extra mile. If I can solve the problem for the customer, even though it's not my customer, or if it's a different department normally, then I will, because it shows that you empathize with the customers. Good example of this, Lush. Lush, I believe, operates all over Europe. They make bath bombs and other smelly products. But that's not why we're talking about Lush. I'm talking about Lush because they are a good example of showing empathy and understanding and listening to their customers. Lush, if you've ever been into a Lush, or the next time you go in, test them, because this is meant to be part of their ethos or how they run their business. They and their staff, the frontline staff, should take time with customers. They shouldn't rush. They should listen to what the customers like, ask questions. Do you like this one? Do you prefer this type of smell? And give recommendations based on that specific customer, not based on what product is the most expensive or what they get the most commission for. You may have had this experience. I have it quite a lot when I go into a shopping mall and you walk into the perfume area and you are attacked by someone trying to sell you a perfume, and they spray all over you with flowers and vanilla. And maybe for me, I'm normally wearing leather and tobacco fragrance, and now I smell like a flower shop. The problem here is not that I smell like a flower shop, although it's a little bit annoying. The problem here is that I didn't ask for this product. They have put this product upon me because it is the latest product, a new product, and the shop wants to sell it. So I believe more businesses should take the approach of Lush, which is instead of just attacking people with fragrances and you should try this product, everyone's buying it. Instead, ask the customer what they're looking for. Listen to them and then choose a product that fits the needs of that customer. I realize I'm running out of time. Just 2 more drivers to get through. The first one, you deliver on your promise. This one is actually pretty simple. It's about meeting the expectations of customers. But as we learned at the beginning, customer service is meeting expectations. Delivering on your promise, this emotional driver, is about exceeding your customers' expectations. So really, this is about creating wow moments that will surprise your customers. So keeping your customers happy keeps them loyal. To exceed expectations, however, we need to know what our customers like and need in the first place. You can only exceed expectations if you know what they are in the first place. So when we think of the key attributes or skills involved for companies, it is more challenging to exceed expectations, as I said earlier, because expectations are always rising. And we're always comparing the experiences we have with other competitive companies. Another reason it's more difficult is because technology is improving and we always want the next best thing. The iPhone 15 comes out, or whatever we're at now, 14, 15, 16, I lose track, and we want the next one. So creating wow moments and exceeding expectations is increasingly more difficult. An example here, Zappos. Zappos is quite an old company, but it's just a good example because this was one of the first companies, instead of investing in traditional advertising, they decided to invest in customer experience. And they created a specific technique or strategy, customer experience strategy, where they would surprise their customers every time. Essentially, they would tell their customers that they are likely to expect their shoes, it's a shoe retailer, they can likely expect their shoes in 3 days. However, if they order before midnight, they were actually likely to receive them by 8 a.m. the next day. So this essentially built up an excitement connected to delivery. And this really increased the reputation of Zappo as a company that cared about succeeding with customer experience. So this idea was about the customers were expecting 3 days, and that was the promise, roughly, and you over-deliver on this promise. Another example could be Uber Eats, Deliveroo, certain delivery companies that make sure to update you on the estimated delivery times. Another example is Walt Disney. Not to go into too much detail, but Walt Disney have done a lot over the years to think about their customer experience. And Walt Disney, one of their, not tricks, but strategies, was to essentially give an estimated waiting time for rides that was actually longer than expected. Onto the final driver, you fix things. And this is where the company or the hotel went wrong with my colleague. They chose to just offer a discount when they could have solved problems. So really, to connect on an emotional basis, we need to make an effort to fix problems for customers quickly and effectively. The result of this, if we are able to turn a bad experience into a great one by fixing the problem, customers will come back more loyal than what they were before the problem even occurred in the first place. Some statistics that we can come back to later in the questions. Apple, a good example of this, they've incorporated this idea of fixing things for their customers into their whole experience. You'll see this when you go to an Apple store, they have a specific area just for supporting with tech issues. And this is not for new customers who didn't buy a product, it's for existing customers, keeping their existing customers happy. Ritz-Carlton, another example. Unfortunately, don't have time to go into it, but after this webinar, you can look up the $2,000 rule of Ritz-Carlton. It's a way that Ritz-Carlton aims to really invest in fixing problems for their customers. So to summarize, as I am not only out of time, but maybe a little bit over it, 6 emotional drivers quite a simple concept to understand and also a simple concept to apply. If you, as a company, regardless of size, focus on implementing just one of these emotional drivers and doing it successfully, you will see results in keeping or retaining your customers. They will remain more loyal and they will recommend your company. So if our customers are connected to us as a company emotionally, they become advocates. They will recommend us to friends, to family, to colleagues. And who do we trust more than our friends and family? We certainly trust friends and family more than traditional advertising. And customers who are advocates of a company, more likely to recommend us as a company, more likely to buy more likely to buy more often, and more likely to stay loyal to us. So if we are able to deliver upon these emotional drivers, we create strong bonds with our customers. And companies aren't perfect. So if we make a mistake, we aim to deliver a product in 5 days, and because of the postal service, it actually takes 7. If we have built up loyalty with customers, we're often forgiven and we're given another chance to make it right. But we have to make an effort on our customer experience strategy in order to build that loyalty. Thank you for listening, everyone. That is just a short, well, not so short, but a more simplified outlook into how companies can use emotional drivers to earn loyalty. I'm now happy, if there's time left, apologies, Carolina, if I went slightly over, to answer any questions that you may have.
Yeah, no problem. In fact, thank you for the interesting presentation. I see that we have some questions. In fact, we will try to be as fast as we can. So the first one is, how can smaller companies with limited access to customer data replicate the emotional personalization strategies used by Netflix?
Okay, let's take a look.
Yeah,
Thank you for
that's the
the
first
question,
one.
Emily. How can smaller companies with limited access to customer data replicate the emotional personalization strategies used by Netflix? An excellent question. The fact of the matter is you don't need to be a large corporation or large company in order to collect data and information about your customers. I have students in my class who have parents that run a family business, and it's still on pen and paper. Or think about my hairdresser who is not recording information in a system. He has a photographic memory and remembers each customer in this way. So a company doesn't need to have a database that costs thousands and thousands of dollars to store information. You just have to start saving information. And the more information, collecting and saving, the more information you can collect, the more you learn about your customers, the better you can personalize their experience as an individual. And if your customers feel like an individual, they're more likely to stay with you. So I don't think it matters whether you're a smaller company or a bigger company. You can still find ways to record and collect customer data, even if it's in an Excel file on your computer. You're still saving preferences. So I think start small and build up.
Thank you. I think that we still have time for another question because unfortunately the time is running fast. So, what role does emotional intelligence play in designing these effortless customer experiences? Can it be automated or does it require human oversight?
Okay, could you just
Yeah,
question what?
it's this one. I'm going to send you in the chat if you want, so that you can take a look and see it directly. Yes.
Perfect. So thank you to whoever asked this question. What role does emotional intelligence play in designing these effortless customer experience? Can it be automated or does it require human oversight? A very good question. We cannot do customer experience in 2025 purely as a human strategy. We need to leverage technology and AI and see how it can help, for example, in storing data, in helping to personalize the experience. So emotional intelligence is definitely key. In fact, technology, as I say to my students, is not the customer experience itself. The customer experience is a human interaction. But technology can allow the customer experience or enable it to happen. So emotional intelligence is incredibly important. Whether you have a small business or a large business and you work as part of the customer service team, you need to have emotional intelligence. You need to have people skills. And technology is there just to help us to deliver the human side. So emotional intelligence certainly is key in customer experience. I don't think we can really automate emotions. That part has to be done by humans, whether it's in hospitality, in business, in any industry. We have to show empathy to customers. That was the you get me emotional driver. We have to connect with customers, listen to them, and react in the way that matches that specific response. So we need emotional intelligence. Technology can help us with the customer experience, but it's not the customer experience itself. That is human. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you. And I see so many other questions, but of course, if you want, you can do all your questions through the email contact that we will send you in the next few days. You will receive, in fact, an email with the recording of this webinar if you want to take a look again and to take more information, and also the contacts of HIM Business School and Swiss Education Group, so that you can make all the questions you want, receive more information about the admission process and everything that you need. And so I would like to thank Ben and Gaia for being with us today. I see so many enthusiast messages on the chat from the students. So thank you so much for your really interesting presentation. And of course, I hope to see you again in the next webinar organized by Doxity. So thank you so much again and have a really nice rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry I didn't get
Thank you, everyone.
the opportunity to answer all of your questions, but with my contact details, if you contact me, I will answer. Okay, so save those questions, send them to me, and I'll get back to you.
Thank you.